Today on Callahan's Garage, we're doing lowrider stuff.
Hey, I'm Callahan. Welcome to Callahan's Garage.
Alright folks, welcome back to Callahan's Garage, and today we are looking at one of my favorite cars of all time. This car is one of the most fun cars I've ever owned. I've had this thing for a few years and it is just the coolest thing. So this is my 1976 Cadillac Coupe DeVille. I've had this car for a few years. I've done a ton of work to it, and we're going to do a little bit of work to it today. And unfortunately, we're doing all of that work to it because we are going to sell it soon. So the hearse is kind of replacing this car. You know, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have two huge Cadillacs laying around. So I've pretty much had my fun with this car. You know, I've done most everything I want to do to it. So we're going to do a few little things to it, get it back up to 100%, and then we're going to send it on down the road. So, backstory on this car. Like I said, I've had this car for a few years. I got it from kind of a family friend sort of deal. You know, it belonged to like a grandmother and then got passed down to the grandson, and then, you know, kind of just had some issues with it, sat for a really long time, and basically the family, you know, just needed the car gone, out of the way, so I was able to come in and scoop it up. And like I said, you know, it had sat for a really long time, was in really, you know, sorry shape when we got it. So basically the car had been sitting in this lady's garage for what she thought was around 5 years. And, you know, after looking at some of the paperwork in the car, it seems like it was sitting for closer to 10 years. And so the garage that it was in was actually not deep enough to hold the car. So the garage door was open for all of this time. And then the window of the car was also open. So like the car, the interior, everything was covered in like 2 inches of dust. The car was just absolutely disgusting. Had, you know, mummified rats underneath the seats and everything. The carpet was disgusting. So, you know, we spent a ton of time, you know, just getting the car cleaned up and, you know, presentable again. The car was painted back in probably like in the 90s. So, you know, it doesn't look bad. Photographs very well, but you know, it's starting to show its age a little bit. Same thing with the interior. Like the car's got some miles on it, so the interior is starting to show its age a little bit, but still super nice, very presentable car. So like I said, the car got parked because it had some issues. Turned out to be a transmission issue. So, you know, these cars have a turbo 400 in them, and basically the clutches and everything in the transmission were just smoked. So I had the transmission built for it, swapped out the transmission, got the car up and running. Didn't really take much to get the car running. You know, it had sat for a really long time, but, you know, with fresh fuel, carburetor rebuild, basic tune-up, you know, the car fired up and has run pretty reliably. Haven't really had any issues with it. And then other than that, you know, I've basically gone through the rest of the car mechanically. So all the brakes, you know, all the hard lines, the fuel lines, the brake lines, master cylinder, alternator, you know, all the basic stuff that you need to do after a car sits for that amount of time. And then we got into the suspension and everything. So the whole plan for this car from the get-go was to just lay it out absolutely smacked on the ground. So the car has full air ride. It's got manual management, dual compressors, dual tanks, you know, old school setup. Lays out absolutely on the ground. Did a little bit of clearancing and cutting on the front, you know, the front half of the frame to get, you know, make clearance for the steering and the control arms and, you know, the bag and everything just to get it as low as it is. And the car will actually like go down the highway at this height. This is completely aired out, and you can drive down the interstate completely aired out and, you know, steer and nothing drags, and it's awesome. You know, it totally throws people for a loop, you know, when they see you on the interstate and then you just air it right out and while you're cruising 80. But, you know, super cool. Took a little bit of work to get all the air ride and everything done, but totally worth it in my mind. You know, the car just looks so much longer and sleeker and cooler, you know, when it's laid out on the ground. And then actually we got super lucky that the car actually came with these appliance wire wheels on it. So, you know, I cleaned the wheels up really well and then threw the set of Vogues on there. In my mind, you know, a Cadillac is not a Cadillac until it's got Vogue tires on it. So had to put the Vogues on it. Wire wheels, just looks the part 100%. So we've got a few things that we need to get fixed on the car here before we post it up for sale. The speedometer quit working on me a couple weeks ago, and like I don't drive the car so that much, so you know it really hasn't been on mine. So we're gonna get the car jacked up. We need to pull the speedometer cable out. There's actually like 4 different lengths of speedometer cables that are available for this car. So we need to get the cable out, confirm that the cable is broken and that's the issue, and then order us up a new correct cable. Okay, so we've got our main speedometer cable out. So on this car, because this car has cruise control, most of these older cars that have cruise control, they will have a speedometer cable that runs into kind of a control module box, and then they'll have another cable that runs out of that box and up into the actual speedometer in the dash. So I was really concerned that, you know, that box or that short cable was going to be damaged and we would have to get into the dash and everything. But I pulled this long cable out, and luckily the end just broke right off of the end of this cable. So this is the side that goes into the side of the transmission, and it's just got a little key that goes on the end of it, and it's just twisted right off of there. So we're just gonna get this cable measured up and we'll order us a new one. This will be a super easy fix. So update on our Cadillac here. The speedometer cable came in, got it swapped out, it's working perfectly now. And actually, I put the car up for sale a little sooner than I anticipated, and we actually are waiting on the new buyer to come right now. So the car sold, like I said, you know, car sold a little quicker than I anticipated. You know, wasn't expecting it to be this painless, but got a nice lady and husband, you know, coming to buy the car. They're actually buying the car for her, and she's super excited. Like, she's coming with the truck and trailer to pick it up today. So, you know, she should be here soon, and we'll be saying goodbye to this thing. You know, the weather's been kind of crummy. I was really hoping to get to drive it to work one more day this week, but you know, it is what it is. Certainly going to miss this car, but sounds like it's going to a really good home, and all that means is that we're going to get to start working on the hearse that much sooner. So let's take one last look at this thing. Actually standing here looking at it, looks like our tire pressure is a little low on a couple of our tires, so I'm going to pull it over to the shop. We'll air the tires up real quick, and then we'll be ready to do a test drive when they get here. Well folks, there it went. Cadillac is out of here. So kind of a bittersweet day. You know, I had a lot of fun with that car and really enjoyed, you know, working on it and driving it and taking it out to events. You know, met a lot of cool people with that car. So, you know, it's kind of a sad day, but we're going to start on the hearse real soon and get all that lowrider fix, you know, going again. So, you know, that just means we get to buy bags, we get to buy management, we get to buy wheels and tires and all that fun stuff. So we'll have some of that coming up real soon. More of David's Beetle coming up real soon. So thanks for hanging out. See you guys next time.